The message from the Virgin Mary is a direct and powerful call to action, a warning that cannot be ignored. Her words carry a deep urgency, reminding us that ignoring her guidance may lead to not surviving the trials and tribulations of the end times. This is not a mere message of comfort. It is a stern and loving plea from a mother who sees what lies ahead and desires to prepare her children for what is to come. Throughout history, the Virgin Mary has appeared in moments of great need, offering heavenly direction and support. From Lourdes to Fatima, and more recently in Medjugorje, her messages have been consistent. A call for humanity to return to God, to embrace peace, and to walk the path of love. Each appearance has been a beacon of light in the darkness, offering hope and spiritual renewal. Yet, in addition to this light, her words are also cautionary, emphasizing the urgent need for repentance and transformation. The world is in turmoil, and her warning resonates more deeply now than ever before. The Virgin Mary's message is clear: spiritual readiness is paramount. In the face of the challenges we face, this is not a time to be complacent or unaware. We must prepare ourselves, both spiritually and physically, for what is coming. The world is changing, and those who are not attuned to the call of the Virgin Mary may find themselves unprepared when the storms of adversity hit. The time to act is now. Her message about the end times is especially urgent. Children, she says, before the challenges start, I call you to a period of transformation, to return to the love of the Father. In order for peace to prevail, the world needs your prayers and your open hearts. These words are not just a warning, they are a call to action. The Virgin Mary is urging us to open our hearts to God, to pray fervently for peace, and to prepare spiritually for the days ahead. This message is not one to take lightly. It calls for introspection, for a deep examination of our lives and our relationship with God. It asks us to take responsibility for our spiritual readiness, to ensure that our faith is firm and our hearts open. It reminds us that we are not alone in this journey. The Virgin Mary's love and protection are constant, and through her intercession, we are empowered to face whatever challenges come our way. Those who heed the Virgin Mary's call will find a way of hope and guidance, a path that leads to spiritual strength and resilience. In a world filled with uncertainty, it is through our faith and devotion that we can find the peace and protection we so desperately need. The world may be in chaos, but with the Virgin Mary's guidance, we can navigate these tumultuous times with unwavering faith, knowing that we are supported by divine love and grace. Let us not delay in answering this call. Let us open our hearts to the Virgin Mary's message, prepare ourselves spiritually, and unite in prayer for the peace and salvation of the world. The time to act is now, and with faith, we can endure the trials that lie ahead. The Virgin Mary's message is no longer confined to small local gatherings. Her words now resonate across the world, reaching millions through testimonies, stories, and experiences shared by her devoted followers. Her message is universal, intended not just for those directly impacted by calamities, but for all of humanity. The global spread of her message is a clear sign of its relevance to the times we are living in. It challenges us to reflect deeply on our lives, our choices, and our faith practices. Her words urge us to look beyond the fleeting concerns of daily life and examine the state of our souls. Now is the time to prepare, the Virgin Mary tells us. The world is entering into times of great difficulty, and only those who are spiritually prepared will be able to endure. We cannot afford to delay. The signs are everywhere: increasing turmoil, uncertainty, and upheaval. These events are not random. They are a call to action, a divine invitation to turn our hearts back to God and embrace a life of prayer and conversion. The message is clear: spiritual readiness is our only hope for survival in these trying times. Central to the Virgin Mary's message is the power of prayer. She consistently urges us to pray, both for ourselves and for others. Prayer is not merely a practice, it is a lifeline, a means by which we communicate directly with God. Every prayer, she assures us, has the power to reach heaven, to move the heart of God, and to bring about transformation. My children, pray fervently, she implores. Let your prayers be an honest conversation with the Father. Every word you speak can reach heaven and bring light to the darkest corners of the world. But prayer alone is not enough. The Virgin Mary calls for conversion, a deep and lasting transformation of the heart. Conversion is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process of aligning our lives with God's will, of striving to live as Christ taught us. This is the essence of spiritual growth, a constant turning away from sin and toward God's love. It is a call to examine our hearts, to change the way we think and act, and to embrace the teachings of Jesus with renewed devotion. She promises that for those who respond to her call, there will be spiritual sanctuary. She does not promise that life will be free from hardship, but she assures us that those who remain faithful and prepared will find the strength to endure. Faith is the key. In the face of trials, it is our faith that will sustain us. It is through faith that we will find peace, safety, and guidance, even in the darkest of times. Her message is one of hope, not fear. She reminds us that God's love is always present, a constant source of refuge and strength. No matter how dark the world becomes, God's light will shine through, and no power on earth can take away His love. Yet, she also makes it clear that if we disregard her warnings, we will face grave consequences. Those who do not prepare spiritually will be at risk, both physically and spiritually, when the trials come. Throughout history, we have witnessed the results of ignoring divine warnings. The Fatima apparitions, among others, revealed how neglecting God's call can lead to suffering, war, and destruction. The Virgin Mary's calls to repentance and prayer have always been timely and urgent, and those who have listened have found peace and strength in the face of adversity. But those who have turned a blind eye to her messages have paid a heavy price. In these modern times, the stakes are no less high. The world is facing unprecedented challenges, and the message from the Virgin Mary remains just as urgent. She calls us to prayer, conversion, and humility. These are the keys to spiritual survival. Prayer opens our hearts to God's grace and allows us to receive His strength. Conversion is the process of becoming more like Christ, living a life of love, humility, and obedience to God's will. Humility is essential because it reminds us that we cannot rely on our own strength. We must depend on God's mercy and grace. The Virgin Mary assures us that if we heed her call, we will find peace, protection, and spiritual strength. But if we ignore her words, we risk being unprepared when the challenges arrive. Now is the time to act, before the trials come, not after. Her message is not just a warning. It is a promise of hope for those who choose to respond in faith. We have been given the opportunity to prepare, to turn our hearts toward God, and to secure our place in His eternal love. Are we ready to listen? Are we ready to pray, convert, and prepare for the times ahead? The choice is ours. The Virgin Mary offers us a path to peace, security, and divine strength. Let us take her hand and walk in the light of God's love, knowing that whatever challenges may come, we will face them with the strength and grace that only He can provide. Throughout history, the Virgin Mary has consistently called humanity to return to God, urging us to turn away from sin and seek spiritual renewal. Her messages, when heeded, have the power to guide us through the most turbulent of times. However, as we have witnessed in the past with wars, natural disasters, and spiritual crises, humanity's disregard for these divine calls has led to suffering and confusion. Now, as the Virgin Mary speaks once more, her voice echoes through time, urging us not to make the same mistakes again. Her messages are not mere words. They reach deep into the heart of our souls and call us to look beyond the temporary troubles of this world. The material possessions and fleeting pleasures that many pursue are insufficient to weather the storms of life. When we focus solely on the present and neglect the eternal, we risk losing our way, feeling lost, empty, and disconnected from the divine source of true strength. The Virgin Mary is here to remind us that the Spirit, not worldly things, is where true strength lies. It is through responding to her call that we find the fortitude needed to endure. At the core of her message is a choice. We can either turn away from God, allowing ourselves to become lost in the shadows of uncertainty, or we can embrace her invitation to walk in the light. The decision is clear. By choosing to listen to her and preparing ourselves spiritually through prayer, conversion, and loving service to others, we will be ready to face whatever challenges arise. But for those who ignore this call, the path ahead may be filled with loneliness, despair, and spiritual emptiness. The Virgin Mary highlights 3 essential practices to help us navigate the trials ahead: prayer, almsgiving, and humility. Prayer, as a direct line to God, offers us strength, guidance, and peace in times of uncertainty. The Virgin Mary encourages us to deepen our relationship with God through prayer, for it is through this connection that we find our spiritual resilience. Almsgiving, being charitable to those in need, is another key component of her message. The Virgin Mary reminds us that true wealth is not found in material possessions, but in loving and serving others. The love we offer to those in pain, the help we provide to those who are lost, and the kindness we share with those in need are what truly define our wealth in God's eyes. In a world that desperately needs hope, charity becomes a means of bringing God's peace to others and drawing us closer to Him. Lastly, humility is essential as we prepare for what lies ahead. The Virgin Mary calls us to live modestly, to set aside our attachment to the material world, and to focus on the eternal. By doing so, we open our hearts to God's grace, enabling us to face the challenges before us with courage, faith, and conviction. Through humility, we strengthen our relationship with God and ready ourselves for the trials that may come. The Virgin Mary concludes her message with a final call to action. We must remain vigilant, alert, and prepared for whatever the future holds. This attentiveness is not about living in fear, but about staying spiritually strong and rooted in faith. By following her guidance, we will be able to face any difficulty with serenity and confidence, knowing that we are supported by God's love and grace. Thank you for being part of this important journey. Your participation brings strength to this mission, and together, we can inspire hope and spiritual renewal in a world that desperately needs it. May the shared stories of our human experience continue to uplift and encourage us until the next time.